This could be the wheel that brings Fanatec back to the big time in sim racing. I'm talking about this leaked image I received anonymously of what looks to be the successor to the Fanatec McLaren GT3 V2 wheel. Now this wheel is still undisputed, I think, as the best pound for pound wheel in sim racing, but it went off sale officially at the end of July this year. And this is even when the SimMagic GT Neo and Conspit 300 GT exist. And I'm going to get into those wheels in this video. So what I'm going to talk about is how good is this wheel, what things should improve on this wheel, and in 2025-2026, can an unbranded version of this wheel compete with that SimMagic and Conspit and other wheels coming on the marketplace? So let's start with this wheel. So this wheel retailed essentially for around $200, €200, £200. I bought my one for about £200. Now this is all before tariffs went a bit crazy and pricing started to unlink between euros and pounds and dollars and everything like that. But I have to say, $200, £200 for this is still a bargain. And that's partly because it doesn't have a screen. I mean, technically, it actually does have a screen, but it doesn't really have a screen. That's not going to run SimHub. It's not going to give you any meaningful data. It's just there to really go through the menus and also show you your gear and your speed at the moment. But for $200, the SimMagic GT Neo is still $249. The Conspit 300 GT, that does have a proper screen in it, is $399, and those are before tax as well. This one I bought all in for £200 if I remember correctly. And that's because the materials this is made of is plasticky. It is tacky. It's not real carbon fibre. It's a fake carbon fibre front. It feels a bit creaky, to be honest with you. Like, this is not a crazy premium product. It doesn't feel metallic even. And sim racing companies can't really get away with doing that today. Like when I look at the new Conspit wheels and I review them and the SimMagic GT Neo, they feel more premium. This doesn't have any backlit buttons. It doesn't have any RGB on it at all. But you know what? That all keeps the price down, or kept the price down. So when we have a look at this new leaked, that looks to me like a real image. If that comes into production, if it comes in for the same price, and there's one caveat I want to let you know about, but essentially if it comes in for the same price, it's still got the Xbox compatibility. I think arguably it might even look a little bit better than this one. This one's a bit battered, to be fair. I've even lost my Xbox X button along the way, but it looks a bit tidier. I quite like the slimming line that it's got at the bottom. If that comes out for $200 with nice magnetic shifters, for me anyway, I've always liked this bar shifter on it, and clutch paddles, which is great for accessibility. If you're disabled or you can't use your feet or your legs, you can brake and accelerate using these clutch paddles. It's a big feature that I don't think Fanatec spoke about enough, and I miss it when I review other wheels that don't have that. For example, the Thrustmaster 488 GT3, albeit a competitor to this, doesn't have that feature. Now, the one thing I would say that will hold this back as being recommended from a pound to pound king, even if it comes out at around £200, which would be insane, is the quick release. I think the quick releases are the weakest part of the Fanatec ecosystem right now. I think it confuses things. It looks like they're trying to shift old stock of wheelbases by discounting wheelbases with older QRs like the QR1. The QR2 is controversial because the QR2 Lite is composite. The premium QR2 looks really good, but it's very, very, very expensive. And with SimMagic, you get a good QR as standard. We know with Moser, you get a good QR as standard as well. And there may be some news on the Conspit front as well. We'll see when it comes to QRs. Keep subscribed to this channel. But essentially, if this comes out with a QR2 Lite, like the Fanatec Porsche VGT, I don't think they're going to be able to do it at $200 because that looks like an added price to the Porsche VGT. And if it comes out with the QR1, you're going to feel like, you're limited to Fanatec bases that have QR1, which is really not great. Even with QR2 Lite, you might be limited on the Newton meters that this wheel can handle. Now, by the way, I would say this wheel probably shouldn't be held back by the QR. Like intrinsically, I wouldn't run this on a 25 Newton meter base. I'd be very happy running it on a 10, 11, 12 Newton meter base, but I wouldn't run it on a 25. But that's all part of the trade-off. What it really needs, this wheel, I think, this wheel needs USB out. If Fanatec released this wheel with the USB out and a standard bolt pattern on the back, so you can basically take whatever QR you want and you can run it on whatever base you want, that's how this leaked wheel becomes a pound for pound king. It's not going to become a pound for pound king if they do the Fanatec McLaren GT3 version B2 V2 unbranded and you can only use it on Fanatec. I don't think it's quite going to be enough, given from what I've seen from the reception when I revealed this in the sim racing show yesterday. However, if it comes out at £200, $200, I think, and you let me know in the comments, I think we can look past no RGB. I think we can look past no screen, because the form factor of this wheel is incredible. It has one of the best form factors ever for sim racing. And that's interesting, because if I unpeel this sticker, you can see that the original branding on this has McLaren, right? And we know that McLaren have now gone to Logitech G, and Logitech G are releasing this rim that's endorsed by Lando Norris, Oscar Piastri. That form factor of that wheel, let's be honest, and I know that I have discount codes, Logitech G and everything, this is a better form factor, right, for racing. Like, this is an actual McLaren 650S GT3 wheel, about 10 years old, but it is just unbelievable. I was racing very competitively this wheel, winning Gran Turismo top split races in the daily races. And so you look at my peers like Super GT and other streamers, we were all using this wheel even though we had access to more expensive wheels. So they're not going to be able to use the logo. We can see that in the leaked image. It's changed to Fanatec. But can they still use the shape? Now, I would let you know that intellectual property rights, they're not the same for logos and for shapes and inventions and everything. And actually for shapes, the rights that last for shapes tend to expire sooner than logos. Logos you can renew indefinitely, trademarks. You can just keep renewing them. But not for shapes, because that would be too much of a monopoly for certain companies. You'd stop competition, you stop the human advancement of technology. So it may be that Fanatec understands. This is the biggest question. I'm surprised more people haven't asked me about. Maybe you have. Maybe I need to catch up on your comments. But I'm surprised not a lot of people will be saying, well, hang on, how are Fanatec going to be able to sell what looks to be exactly the same shape when this is the identical wheel, the replica wheel from the McLaren 650S? Well, the McLaren 650S came out in 2014, 2015. That's 10 years ago. In fact, maybe it was a 10-year license or something that Fanatec got, or maybe it was a license until 10 years from the release of the car. So it may be possible that this actually is real. And I saw some people sending me comments in our Discord, www.simracingdiscord.com, of responses Fanatec have made to previous comments saying, yeah, we're working on something to replace this, and it's not necessarily the Porsche Vision GT. So it seems possible that Fanatec are able to remove this logo and keep this incredible form factor. It could even be a different license with McLaren, potentially. So I want to leave you with that. And make sure you subscribe, by the way, to my channel, because it's because of you that I get people emailing me and we get to do these cool videos. But you let me know in the comments, if this comes out for €200, $200, £200, are you buying it? Yes or no? Because this could be Fanatec's shot at redeeming itself at this price range in the sim racing ecosystem, which it once dominated. I'll see you next time.